they never expect you to say you're a doctor. Sometimes I even stop telling people because they start treating you in another way. I really think Germany is the easiest place to get into medicine. Dogs are like human beings. You have a border harassing you here, dust, someone is selling tomatoes there. Someone tells you, oh, let's just go for a short walk here. It's going to be a walk. But I remember before her, there was only one other black doctor. Then you tell them, oh, I'm a doctor. Then you see this veil, seeing you as this is a fellow black person. The jobs are there. Like if you come, you'll get a job here. The population is very old. There are very many sick people. They are a work hard, play hard society. Now I'm used to speaking German, but before that was a con for me.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sissy and I'm a Ghanaian medical doctor working in the UK. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. You know who I am, but you don't know who this is. This here is Amanda. Amanda is a Ugandan medical doctor working in Germany.
Yes, we exist. Unicorns.
Yes,
Germany.
These are the real unicorns. No, real unicorns, because at least Ugandan medical doctors, we are there. We're quite a number, actually. Today, we're hoping to hear Amanda's story of life from Uganda to Germany. How did she end up there? What's Germany like? Is it possible for other people to come as well, or is it just your own personal, unique story? Welcome to the channel, Amanda.
Thank you. I finally made it after watching everyone's videos. Now
I
it
know.
has come now to the other side of Europe.
Yes.
So the only people in Britain because you guys are so many.
We are.
But here we are real unicorns. Before I came to Germany, I didn't know anyone else who was a doctor here. I had heard from some people, oh, there's someone who went, but I had never really heard of anyone else. The other two doctors I got in contact with, actually my former boss in Zambia, these were his classmates. Like he's a consultant nephrologist. So these were his classmates.
Older people then.
They were much, much older. So they came actually at a different time. The system was also a bit different. But he just put me in touch with them. And they would basically just encourage me, say you can do it. They'd say if you need any help, you can ask. But I actually even have never met them because they live so far away from me.
Yeah.
They live in a whole other, Germany is like, I don't know, 4 Ugandas.
Is it? Huh?
Or 5. So it's really big. You can be here, but it's like someone else is in a very far away place. Imagine you're staying in Kampala and someone is staying like somewhere on the edge of Sudan.
Wow.
So I've never actually met them. We've only talked via WhatsApp. And the reason I came to Germany is because I got married.
Yeah.
I got married. My husband, who is a Ugandan, had finished further studies in Germany.
It happened to already be in Germany.
Yes, and he had gotten a job. And even before like the real wedding, like we had said this would what our future would be like. Because it made more sense. My skills were more transferable.
Yes.
At Uganda than he's from Germany to Uganda. And also he just felt like the chances would be better.
Yeah.
Which is true. So even before the wedding, the thing that I started doing was learning German and looking for schools. Because unlike like you know how in the UK you have academies that help you to prepare for licensing exams.
Yes.
So they are also there in Germany.
Okay.
So way before I started looking for schools.
Okay. So you've started the process now.
Yeah.
Step by step, please. Step by step. You're going so fast.
Step one.
Step one, learn German. Even before looking for schools.
Looking for schools, you can always look, but the course you will receive in that school will be in German.
Okay. So the step one is to learn German.
The step one is to learn German.
Oh my
God. I went to the Goethe Institute. It's on Kandjocha Street. At least it was still on Kandjocha Street when I was in Uganda last year. It's on Kandjocha Street. I registered for A1. And at first I used to work 12-hour shifts day or night.
Because you're working in Zambia, I remember.
I was working in Zambia and you'd either do 8 to 8 morning or 8 to 8 evening. So at first with A1, because A1 is the basic course, I think I actually used to just do weekends. And then when I went to A2, I started doing particular days in the week. I think it was like 3 days a week. Either it was Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
So that's a more complex level of the language.
Yeah, it's more complex. And I would just work it in my timetable so that on these days, I told them on these days I have school so that at that time I wouldn't be working. Sometimes if the class was in the morning, I would come for a night shift. It was quite tough. I don't know how I did it all, because when I think about it, I was really hustling. There was a time I even had 2 jobs. In Uganda, you're working somewhere, then you have a locum somewhere, then you have German classes, and they'll always be seeing me at night in my night shifts, and I have my books, I'm reading. I just don't know what motivated me those days. But I studied because I thought I had no choice. It was this or this. And I always was someone who's really good at learning languages. But I just had to put I just had to give myself no choice. When you have no choice, you study.
First, hold on, I missed that. Did you say you were a person who always learned languages?
Who always thought I wasn't good at learning languages.
Okay. So you had a mindset shift?
Yeah. I told myself, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I have to
do it.
That's what I said. So I studied. All in all, I did A1, A2. I did B1 and I did B2. For the course to the school I applied to, you needed to have B1. That was their prerequisite for joining. You needed to have B1. So I did B1, the B1 exam in Uganda. I studied B2, but I didn't do the B2 because at the time they were not offering that exam.
And they only needed B1 anyway.
Yeah. And so when I contacted the school more than a year before I went to Germany.
How long first of all, actually, when did you start learning Germany? Which year?
I think I learned German for almost a year and 4 months. But I was not doing the intense program. The intense programs where you go every day and you do the things very quick. But me, I was doing it kind of slowly because I was working and doing a number of things. So that's how I was doing it. And I didn't think I could do it all. So the first program I think I did A1 was intense because A1 is a bit simple. Then the rest I sort of spread out intermediate, day, night, weekends, whatever I could manage. But I think it took me like a year.
And 4 months.
And 4 months, roughly. Roughly.
To reach the B2 level, which you didn't do the exam, but you studied at least.
I studied and I finished the course, but I didn't do the exam. So I thought I would go to Germany and then do that B2 from there. And it makes a lot of sense to study German in Uganda as far as you can before you travel, because the courses are expensive. I think even in Uganda, relative to people's income, it's a bit on the pricey side. But if you decide to do it in Germany, it's really expensive. So actually, we talked with my husband and he said, you know what? Because I was still sorting out visa issues and things while I was in Uganda. I said, study as far as you can. Then when you come here, you just do the last bit.
Is B2 the last bit then? The
last bit of German you can do is C2. But that's something you need, like when you're going to be in university writing publications and like it's like really high level
academic German.
There are many Germans themselves who are not C2 level because that's like Queen's English. So you would say Queen's German. We can all speak English, but there's certain ways some people speak English. So if you have B1, you're okay. You're very, very okay, and people will be impressed because they'll see you and they're black and no one expects you to speak German.
Now, like actually on arrival, let's say you arrive in Germany and then you're speaking German. What was that like? How did people receive you?
When I first arrived in Germany, actually, I had studied in Uganda up to B2 and I felt fairly confident. But when I reached Germany, I felt like I didn't know German.
Oh no.
I found that everyone was speaking so fast for me. Remember, everyone has their own accents. There are also some dialects. Which are what they teach you is like the real formal German, but they're also dialects. The way Nigerians have pidgin English and people would speak, and sometimes depending on which part of Germany you land in.
Yes.
Then I would feel so overwhelmed. I would come from meeting people speaking German. I'll go home with a headache. And I would feel like, gosh. So you know what I did? I told my dear husband, I'm going to repeat B1. Okay, this I'm going to pick B1. I said I think I did half of a B1 course because I arrived around the summertime. And in summertime, there are so many travelers and language courses are really booked full. So I think I did like half of B1. Then I did B2 again. Then I did also part of C1, but I wasn't doing it for the exam. But because the exam I was booked for, the B2 exam was quite a few weeks away from the end of B2, my teacher recommended I came to Germany, and I felt like I didn't know any German. Because learning German with Ugandans is very different from learning German with Germans. The accents, people tend to talk a lot faster. I redid part of B1 and then I redid B2, then I did the B2 exam. Here, yeah, if you hear my baby, she's in the background contributing. And then after I did that, another thing that really helped me was I tried to make German friends. So at that time we were in a church, and I used to force myself to go for social activities. Some people were friendly, some people were not, but I would just force myself to go so that I could put myself in conversational situations.
This is when you arrived in
Yeah,
Germany.
when I arrived. Because I would talk to my husband and I would want him sometimes to speak German with me at home to practice, but he would feel like he has spoken German the whole day. He's tired. What he would encourage me to do is to go and meet people and to watch like German movies.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And I did that course. It was intense. I had a really good German teacher. She was a very intense woman. She was like a professor, actually, of German stuff. She was very intense. She would come to class. She would make you talk and talk and talk. Then she would give you so much homework. And her goal was you should have no life outside German. You should come to this class and I should send you home with enough homework to keep you occupied until you come back. It was hard, but she was nice. She was not mean. She was nice. After finishing that class, I applied to the German school. It's a very good school. It's been around since the 90s, since I think 1995. It's called the VIA Institute. And the coordinator of that institute is a very good gentleman. And what I liked about them was there were 2 courses to prepare you for each of the 2 exams. The first exam,
so these are now just medical. Are these now the medical licensing exams?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first exam is just a basic language exam, but it is tailored to medical staff. So in that exam, you're supposed to take the patient's history. You're supposed to write what they call a doctor's letter. It basically summarizes the history, your diagnosis, your investigations, and your proposed treatment plan. It's a letter. And then after that, the third part of the exam, you go and there are 2 people, 3 actually. One is a German teacher and 2 are actual doctors. And it's like you have to present your case the way you would in a ward round. Present your case to these 2 doctors, then they ask you a number of questions. You answer the questions. That's the exam. That's the first exam. And you get your results that day.
How long is it?
You get your results that day. They mark the letter. I think the whole exam is at least 1.5 hours without the waits in between. Because you first have your session with the pretend patient, then you go somewhere, you wait. Then you go, you write your letter, then you go somewhere, you wait, then you go for this, like as if case presentation. All in all, it's about 1.5 hours. You get your results that same day. And when you pass the exam, it's pass or fail. So there are no marks. Everything is pass or fail. So that's nice because when you're applying for jobs, there is no marks. It's just pass or fail. And then after that first exam, you get a temporary license, which is valid for 2 years.
So what can you do with a temporary license?
You can do everything a doctor can do.
With just the first exam?
Yeah, but it won't be counted as training, like residency. Wherever you work, it will be a nice experience for you, but it won't be counted as training.
Can you be paid though?
Yes, you're paid, and you're paid the same. Like according to the tariff, you're paid, but it's not counted as. And I think you can't do night shifts or calls, things like that.
Are you like an MO in Uganda? Like an MO?
Something like that. Like someone fresh out of internship. So you can do everything. And within those 2 years, they expect you to have applied for now the second exam, which is the last.
Okay.
I find the exams here actually the simple part. The hard part is learning the language. But the exams are so straightforward.
I'm surprised. It doesn't sound that difficult.
Yes.
I mean, besides the German bit.
The language is what throws everyone off. So after that, you apply. Now, the second exam can even take the whole day. You can start at 9 and end at 7. Mine, I think, started at 9. Mine wasn't bad. It started at 9 and ended around 5. But I know people who have gone deep into the night.
What?
The
You
second
mean
exam,
it's not standard that everyone...
the thing is, the first exam is carried out by like the Doctors Association. It's a bit standardized, the language one. But now the final exam, which they call the knowledge exam, because the first is a language exam. Your knowledge might be wrong, but they are mostly looking at your language.
Okay.
So it's a language exam. Now the second one is a knowledge exam, and that one is carried out by universities, medical universities. Depending on where you're living, you'll be matched to the nearest university responsible for your area. That exam is carried out in an actual hospital. So how it worked for us, red can be bread.
The first thing is do a language exam. And then once you've gotten your German, which for you was now B2, you made it up to B2 level. Did you do the B2 exam?
Yeah, the B2 exam is not necessary for the language exam.
It's just B1.
Because when you do the language exam and pass, you'll be counted as someone who has B2 medical grade.
Ah, perfect. Okay.
But to register for most courses, you need at least B1. In those schools, those prep courses, you need at least B1.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And then now you do, okay, so I've got it. You do the language exam, and then you do the first part of the exams, which is taking a history from a patient, writing some sort of letter, like maybe a referral or something, and then presenting your findings to 2 doctors and 1 German teacher. And then you pass. And then after that,
then you have pass or fail.
Pass or fail.
Okay, my conditions were a bit different because COVID came. And during COVID, there was a doctor shortage. So they made a special license that you could have without even doing the first exam. It was valid for only 1 year, and you still had to do both exams. You just had to show you had a job offer. So I finished that course that I was doing at that school. It prepared you for both exams. And the nice thing about that school is they even help you looking for jobs. You send them your CV, they edit it for you, your application letters. They support you for up to 1 year after the course. Because their goal is that everyone gets employed. And that course was quite expensive. But of course, in comparison to what you will get, it's cheap.
Worth it.
But if you are a resident, if you have a residence, a long-stay visa or residence, you can apply for something called a Bildungsgutschein. That's like an education sponsorship of sorts.
From who?
There are 2 agencies. There are job agencies, and then there's an agency called the Agency for Work, which is the Agentur für Arbeit in German. So if you go, the course would give you a letter, because those sponsorships are given to specific courses that are certified for something. So you get and it's not the only course. You would get the letter from your school, and you'd go to those people, you'd present your qualifications, and you say, I need to do this course with the goal of becoming employable, because they have a welfare system here and it's overloaded. So if you can show that I'm going to be employable, they are willing to support you, and it will be paid back in taxes. Somehow your taxes will go back into the system. So I managed to get that, and it paid for the course. It even paid for accommodation and transport, because it was a bit far from where I was staying at that time. And so when I finished, all I had to do was tell those people as soon as I started working. That's all they wanted to know. Like, now I have a job here. That was it. So if you go through the Agency for Work, that's how it works. However, if you go through the job agency, I think those people you actually have to pay back somehow. Directly.
It's like a loan. It's a direct loan.
Yeah, it's like a loan of sorts. So there you actually have to pay back. As soon as you start working, I think they start deducting. Of course, it's like not a reasonable fee, not like so much, but there it's pressure. So I was actually happy that I went to the Agency for Work and not the job agency, because the people at the course recommended the Agency for Work to me. They were like, go to these people. But there were other people in the course who I found who went to job agencies. So then they were under pressure. You need to get a job. You need to get a job because you need to pay this back. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so you have to know the difference. It's better to go to the Agentur für Arbeit or the Agency for Work other than job agencies. Both will support you. Both will help you. It's just that you'll be under less pressure to find work. When I got that temporary license, I started working. I started working in like December 2020.
When did you go to Germany? When did you arrive?
I actually came to Germany in June of 2019. 2019.
2019. And then you said you had to redo a B1 course. So when did you start, like when did you do the first exam?
I had already the B1
You
certificate.
had
That
the
one I
certificate
had from
already. Yes.
Uganda, but I did now the B2,
And
which course
then
was about 6 weeks.
and then when did you do the first medical exam, like the one of medical language? Or
The first medical exam,
Mhm.
I actually did it in Feb 2021.
2021. So you were there for a year and a half.
Yes, because of COVID. I
All
could have
right.
done it earlier, but in order to
COVID.
apply for the exam, they have so many documents they want from you. Yeah, I think it's the same everywhere. Internship
Mhm.
letters,
Mhm.
letter from Interpol, your letter from the medical council. There are so many
Yeah.
things I had to collect. And given COVID also, it was just
Prolonged everything.
getting an Interpol letter was so difficult. I just don't know. I would always go there. There were so many people. There was a struggle. Every time I would come back home, I was just chasing documents. It was so frustrating. But anyway, when you organize these things in good time, it shouldn't be stressful. And now COVID is done. So
COVID made things worse everywhere
yeah.
for everything. There was
So
backlog in all systems.
yeah. So after I started working. And when you work, it's really good because the more you work, it's like you're practicing your medical knowledge, even for the knowledge exam. It's better you don't just do the exams one after another. It's better you actually do that language exam for like a year. So that you become familiar with the system. Even your German improves, you're more confident, you know how to talk to seniors and everything. Then you relax. Then so I did my language exam in March 2021. I started working December 2020. I did my language exam in March 2021. Then I did my knowledge exam end of April 2021.
So then you were telling us about this exam, about how long it can be and how it's not standardized and it's by medical universities.
Yeah, so the knowledge exam is in your knowledge exam, you go to a hospital, like a teaching hospital, like how you go to Makerere. You receive a letter, an official letter or an email saying your exam is on this day. They will tell you your main examiner. There are usually 3. There's usually 1 internist, 1 surgeon, and then the third person is from a choice discipline, ped, radiology, family medicine, anything. So you receive a letter telling you where your exam is going to be and who your main examiner is. If you have a nice main examiner, which was my case, he will write you an email giving you further details, and he will name the other examiners. He doesn't have to, but he will name the other. So you will know at least my specialty examiner is radiology. Then you can look for radiology questions, or dermatology, then you also do. And different universities, depending on where you are. My university was Ludwig Maximilian University. It's in Munich. It's the main medical school in Munich. The wonderful thing about that university is they have a question bank, because the people who examine you for your medical license are the same people who examine their final year medical students for their medical licenses. The license you receive is the same. Yeah. And once you get that license, it's for life. Unless you do some kind of malpractice. There's no renewing, you get it and it's forever. You go to Uganda, you come back, it's forever.
Yeah.
Driver's license, here it's forever.
Yes.
You find a judge with her ID on her license when she was 26.
No, I've just remembered because in Uganda we have APL every single year. Hey,
yeah, they don't.
And then also us here, the driving license is also for, well, until you're 70, then you have to at least go and renew or something.
Yeah, that's practically for life. Given life expectancy, practically for life. So this university had a question bank. There are some other universities that also have, not every, but this one had a question bank. So once he named the examiners, and you usually get that email, you get the date of your exam way in advance, maybe even 2 months in advance. You know this is your exam, but your examiner will write to you around 3 weeks or 2 weeks to that day. And if he names the examiners, you're lucky. What I did, because this university had a question bank, I was in a Facebook group with other people doing these exams. There are always Facebook groups for such things. So someone wrote about how there's a question bank. So I wrote an email to the people coordinating the question bank. And people coordinating this question bank are students, because students. I told them I'm a foreign doctor. I have an exam on this day, this, and this. Then somehow through their website, you can go name your examiners. So I said, these are my examiners. And they will search out all the past questions from those examiners that they have ever asked. Because when those students finish their exams, they write protocols. This is what I was asked. This is the answer. This is how.
Is this legal?
Yes, it is. It's official on the university website. It's there.
Because here it's not allowed.
Here it's allowed. It's allowed. It's there on the internet. When it's there on the internet, it's official.
Okay.
And they write it in like a narration. They're like, I went for the exam. It was a hot day. He came in. It's like real narration. It's like a student is telling you. Then I said this and this. He seemed like he was not happy. Then when I said this answer, so next time they write like they're writing fellow students. Do like, that's how they are structured.
Okay.
Question.
I just want to give a warning to the listeners. If you're in the UK, Togeza, people have lost their licenses over revealing exam content. You're not supposed to talk about it. In fact, when the exam starts at the beginning, you have to sign a non-disclaimer, or is it a non-disclosure? Yes.
You are so mean. It's not
They are
like,
so mean.
by the way, there are 1,000 protocols. This person has been examining medicine for years. I'm not sure that he doesn't ask the same questions every time.
I think it's because of laziness on our part, because they keep recycling. They keep recycling the same questions.
Exact same questions.
Yes, sometimes you will go for the exam and the questions will appear the way you saw them circulating somewhere.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway.
No, but the truth is, no one knows the whole of medicine, and people will always ask the questions they know. Even the examiners themselves, they're not going to go out of their way to find new questions. We are all a bit lazy. That's life. That's why people specialize.
The same as well. Medicine.
That's why people specialize, because you can't know everything. So you pay for these protocols depending on how big your protocol is. Because some examiners have examined very few people, or the people they've examined have not really written protocols. So you find some people have less, others more. So depending on how many pages of protocol you get, so you pay for them. There's a bank link, you pay for the exams, and they are sent to you as a PDF. However, you are not allowed to share your PDF with anyone, and they make it in such a way like your name is like a watermark in the background of every single page. So you cannot just give this to someone else. They are for your personal use. You may tell someone, oh, this is the question that was there. I saw this and this, but you cannot forward this PDF to anyone else.
Okay.
But I think it's a way that the student body makes money. Because if you just forwarded, then they would not earn. So that's what I did. Around 2-3 weeks of the exam, I went through all the protocols from all the examiners. Then I went for the exam.
Then what happened in the exam?
So on the exam day you go, my main examiner was an endocrinologist. So he told us where his office was found. You arrive at the hospital. It's huge. It's like a city. Anyway, and they were still building at the time I did the exam. So anyway, so I went to his office. I met him. I introduced myself. I waited. Then I waited for the other. There were supposed to be 3 other candidates, but one couldn't make it. So the 2 other candidates came. We waited. Then he took each of us to a ward. On each ward, different wards, they had prepared patients for us.
Real patients
who they are attached to. Yes. So you go, you see the patient, you take history, you examine the patient, you even have access to the patient's file, to the patient's investigations. It's not that the key thing is not the diagnosis. You have access to all that. And I think you also write another doctor's letter, but here they are not marking grammar. They are going to ask you questions from what you wrote. Medical. It's not just medical. Even if you make a few grammatical errors, it's okay. It's now just medical. So you see your patient, you examine your patient, you look through the file. Even there are doctors on the wards, the residents. You can even ask them questions, by the way. This patient, you can ask. Everything is there. Everything is there.
It sounds like then you will just find out. You could as well find out. Can you ask them?
Let me tell you, you can have all the information there, but there are questions they want to ask.
Okay.
So you write your doctor's letter, you hand it in. So we all did that. Then we had a break for lunch. That was the first part. We had a break for lunch, like 30 minutes. Then one by one, they would go with it to your patient. They would ask you questions about your patient. They would ask you questions about the patient's condition in detail. So if you didn't know, you're not going to read in 30 minutes everything about that thing. You had to already have an idea.
Yes.
Because they'll see you and they're black and no one expects you to speak German. On your patient, which may be unrelated to that condition. They can just ask. How would you examine this? You explain. If they can ask you, so your patient had this kind of labs. But when I reached Germany, I felt like I didn't know German. I think each of us had around like 30 minutes there also, one by one. So when someone is in, they get out, then for you, you're waiting for the rest. And after that part of the exam, then we go to like a panel session. The panel session, they all sit there, the three of them. They just fire you questions from whatever. They fire you questions. They bring out ECGs, they bring out MBGs, they bring out X-rays, they bring out photos. What is this diagnosis? What diagnosis? They bring out all sorts of. Come from meeting people speaking German. I'll go home with a headache. I mean, I had said each of us had 45 minutes, but it's like they go through. They ask 1, 2, 3, then they ask another person 1, 2, 3 questions, and 1, 2, 3, then you come back like that, just like that. And then when they feel they are content, they send you out and they discuss amongst themselves. Then they call you back inside and they tell you if you've passed or you've failed.
Immediately.
Here, everything is immediate.
I like that.
Lest you say the socialism, lest you say that someone came in and did what. For me, so if you want to fight for your rights, you fight there and then. So in that exam, I think 2 people passed, me and another lady passed, then 1 gentleman failed. It's rare that everyone passes. But the gentleman who failed, we could really all see he was failing. I think he was not well prepared. Because the other lady who passed, she was very nervous. She was so shaky, but she had the content. Every examination committee is different, but I think I had a really good one. You could see it wasn't their intent to make people fail, but you could also see on people's faces, especially like the surgeon. The internist was very nice. He would try to help her, but the surgeon, it was, if you kept on answering the questions wrong, he would distance himself from you. You could see he was becoming more and more distant. And if you started answering questions right, you'd see he's becoming warm. Because someone was answering so many questions wrong until he said, "It's enough, I can't take it anymore." He was like, "I'm done."
How do you say that? And meanwhile, it's in German. How do you say that?
He said, "Jetzt höre ich auf." He's like, "I've stopped here. Now I'm stopping." But yeah, that was it. Started in the morning, it ended in the evening. At the end, you're very tired, but it was really doable. I think it was doable. I think the main stress is the preparation, because you prepare and prepare and prepare and prepare. Now, what helped me is I had a discussion group. In that course I did, I met some like-minded individuals. One of them had failed the knowledge exam before. And so she had some experience and she had done it at that same university I was going to. So she was like our coach in that group. So we would discuss together. We made like a timetable. We're going to go through these conditions. We listed the most common conditions because they ask you questions about common conditions. Then there are questions that are emergency questions. Yeah, emergencies, things to do with CPR, things to do with like ketoacidosis, like such things, whereby if you fail an emergency question, you automatically failed the exam. Because if you fail the emergency question, they tell your patient has died. No one wants that. You get? So you've automatically failed the exam. So we went through different things. And I think she had a similar chief examiner as me, that she had the secondary examiners were different. So we discussed and discussed. Even when she did her exam and passed, we kept on discussing. Like after work, I would come back in the evening. We made like a calendar timetable. These are the conditions we have to cover. It was really intense.
It sounds like you need a group though. Can you imagine doing this by yourself? You have to have some sort of group.
I was actually lucky that when the initial preparation course started, it was physical. But then a time came when COVID came and then it went online. It was extremely difficult. It was extremely difficult to stare at a computer the whole day. Even though but I was happy that I had ever met the people in person, because there's that other feeling when you ever met people in person than when you've been online throughout. So we did the exam, we passed. I was lucky that I already had a job. So now I just presented my license at my workplace, and now my residence training started.
On that day that you've got the license, it automatically converts, or you had to now apply?
Yeah, on the day that you've gotten the license, you automatically start your training. You'll even receive a lot of mail from the different doctors' associations, because once you've passed that information, you don't have to now that information is like automatically forwarded. Then you get all this mail, you get all these forms, you have to fill so many things. And now your residency starts.
In what? What are you doing?
I'm doing anesthesia. So when I got a job in anesthesia. I was surprised that I got it without so much experience, but those people at that other school really helped. They made my CV look like, they wrote that letter and it looked like, oh my gosh, I'm this motivated. I'm see all I've been through. I'm this motivated, hardworking, go-getter.
Which you are, and also you are working in anesthesia.
Yes, sort of, but it didn't feel like the real thing. Like I wasn't in theater. What? I was just in ICU. Anyway, so sorry, but it helped. It helped that I had been in ICU. At least I had that on my CV. Those people knew how to brush up. To like, no, write it like this, because the head of that course is actually a lawyer by profession. And I think he used to, long ago, before this whole certification things, it was such a struggle to be a foreign doctor in Germany. Sometimes the hard part is learning the language, but the exams are so straightforward that fighting for people's rights and everything and meeting a lot of foreigners and seeing that they're actually good people. He started this thing in 1990 something. And the wonderful thing is that so many of his students are now big people. They are bosses, heads of departments in different places. So even the people who would come to teach you for the knowledge exam, because remember there were two parts. There was language exam phase and knowledge exam. For the knowledge exam, they would be real doctors. They would be real doctors, some of which had gone through that course long ago and now somewhere else. So they would actually tell you their exam experience. If you do that in the exam, that's not going to happen, because he's like him, he has not done the exam, but he can collect human resource. So we did that. Then we passed. Then we started training, but it was somehow a bit, you know how it's anticlimax. You're there, you're so like nervous. Your nerves are so high. Then suddenly, all you've been working for over a year. And after that weekend, you're back at work like a normal person.
You're like, was that it?
but you really feel like a huge load has been taken off your shoulders, because you can be working and working and working, but you're like, okay, now I've started my training. Now it's actually moving forward.
How long is your training?
The training for anesthesia and most courses, most residencies, if you don't have pauses like maternity leave or what, it's 5 years. 5 years.
You're being paid the whole time anyway. It's not like
you're being paid the whole time. You're entitled to leave your working days off. You have even some days for what they call Fortbildung, which is like CME, continuous medical education days. They're also there, which you can put in. Sometimes if the courses are expensive, your workplace might sponsor you, might give you 50%. And for every year, it's a tariff system. Like I think you guys have the same. First year, people are paid this much. Second year, people are paid this much.
And it's a national system. There's no bargaining as an individual.
There's really no bargaining as an individual. Although people have been trying to strike also here for more money, inflation. They have not really gone on strike, but doctors all together have been. There's been some tension. Nurses went on strike and got their money. So now they are like, you guys, you're next. So anyway, but this is the pay, I think, is fair. As soon as it's like I'm still coming from the Ugandan mentality. I'm not yet become enough Germanized to be like, no, this man is not enough to me. Look at inflation.
No, I totally relate. It's like how people are comparing now, like here in the UK, it's comparing the past 15 years, but now for me in my personal history, like when you compare, especially when I just arrived, I had no problems at all. I was like, for me, I am okay, I'm comfortable. Even in one of my old videos, I was like, yeah, for me, the money is okay. But now, because for me, I've been here 5 years, and the inflation in those years is too much, because the salary has been almost the same. But then I'm living in the same area, but the price of everything is going up. So now I'm complaining. It's not enough. Pay us.
Also, I think also now, like when you do your calls and nights, there's a different rate. It's the same for us. For calls and nights and weekends and public holidays, it's different. Yeah. So depending on how many you do, because you have like a maximum number. For us, it's there. It's not really there. You can work, but sometimes you get to a certain level of overtime where they're like, you know what? No, they're like, either you take some holiday. They can do it. They call it free time balance. Either you take some holiday to make the hours, or we pay you the extra time. Many people instead ask for it to be, because like in Corona time, people had crazy hours. Crazy hours. The hospital was like, no, we need to just bring everyone back to zero. So they told everyone, choose what you want. Do you want these hours to be paid out? Do you want to take some holiday? And wow. So everyone chose their things. But for us, I think even doctors can end up here working even sometimes 60 hours a week. But you're free. No one is forcing you.
Your choice though.
Yeah. If you feel the hours are too many for you, enough is enough. You just go and tell your head of department, I can't. My mental health, people here, mental health. My mental health, And make sure you write it as an email. So
Mm.
because you're like, I'm going to become a danger to the patients. That's the key thing you
That's
have to
it.
say. I'm
Patient
going to
first.
become a danger to the patients. If anything happens, I'm not responsible.
Yes.
Once it's sent in an email somewhere, just tell you it's okay.
Yes.
Even if you don't want to do any at all.
How
it's
many
okay.
hours do you work on average, like a full-time person, not taking any extra time
I
hours?
think a normal week is 40 hours,
Mm.
but then you might have 2 to 3 calls a week. And at my workplace, you can choose, do you want to do a 24-hour call or a 12-hour call?
What?
You choose. 24-hour means you work from 8 today to 8 the next day.
Oh.
And 12 hours means you work either day or night.
But if you work 24 hours, how many breaks are you having?
The thing is, now, like, say if you're doing a 24-hour call on a weekend, because those 24-hour calls are only on weekends and public holidays. But on a normal day, maybe you're doing, how many hours is it? If you start at 11 and end at 8 the next day, is how many? 11 a.m. and then you end at 8.
I don't know.
Because they're less than 24. Maybe they're like 20. That's the normal call during the week. You come later than everyone else. You arrive at 11, everyone else arrives at 8. And then you leave at the next day in the morning. Okay. But the thing is, how many breaks? You see, anesthesia is a bit different. You come during the day, the normal operations are going on. You may be the person who takes over a theater, like everyone is supposed to have a lunch break of 30 minutes. You may be that person who gives everyone 30 minutes. You come, then you go to the next like that. You might handle emergencies that come during that day. And then afterwards, the night comes, and in my hospital, some hospitals are really huge and they are always operating. In my hospital, you might have 2 operations at night or 3. Most of the time by 5 a.m. you're done. So it works. It actually works. And now, depending on where you are, maybe ICU sometimes is so intense. But if you have a stable patient in theater who is fine, you're there, but you also have an anesthesia nurse who's with you. You can easily go and take a coffee break of 15 minutes and come back. And your nurse will be there, and you're going to remain in theater. It's not like you're going away. You're within the theater. There's like a break room, so you can always just go there. You'll be like, you tell the nurse, this is everything I've done. This is this, and you can go and take a break. And if anything is to happen, you can be easily.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you can easily be called. They can even just shout your name in the corridor, and you're already back in theater. But usually they don't wait until they be seeing things about. They don't call you when the things. So they're be seeing things about. And if a patient is really so critical, you will never leave the patient. So it really depends. It's not like when they say a 24-hour call or a 12-hour call that you're always working the whole time.
Okay. But it's sounding scary that, 24 hours.
No, you're not always working the whole time. Then if there's nothing to do, you can go to your call room and sleep. There's a call room in the hospital with a bed and a bathroom and a sink, and they change the sheets every day. It's not the most comfortable place, but when you're tired, you sleep.
What are the pros of Germany? Like, would you recommend it? Because for you kind of had no choice. Life made it that way.
Yes. Life chose for me.
Yeah,
but I never thought about it, but life chose for me. I think
now that
I'm there, the pros are, of course, there's good healthcare. Most of the education for kids is free. I think apart from like daycare when kids are so young, but I think even when they start nursery school, from that point on, it's free. I think even university. But even if university is not free, the actual university fees, even for an international student, this when my husband was studying, they were lower than Uganda's tuition.
Wow.
What was high is the cost of living, finding where to stay, food, transport. But the actual thing of just tuition was much, much cheaper. I don't know what the inflation has done to it now, but it was affordable. And then I feel like where I am, and in most places, there's a lot of security. You don't have burglar proofing on your doors, on your windows.
Yes.
It's not that, a thief is going to come into my house at night. There is a lot of security. Even when I had just come, sometimes my husband would come back late at night and I'll tell him, why are you moving late at night? It's so late. He's like, there's nothing that's going to happen. No one's going to. And at that time, we were actually in a bigger city where I felt like the possibility of crime was more.
Yeah.
But there's a sense of safety.
Feel safe.
There's healthcare. I feel like food is affordable, even with the inflation. Because Germany had a time when it was divided by the wall, that German wall, East and West. And the people on the East used to really be suffering. There was poverty, hard life, everything. And the people on the West were the ones who had the nice stuff. The Americans were on the Western side. So the government did something where they sort of heavily subsidized the basics. Food, toilet, not for the whole country now. Food, toilet paper, such things. They try, even when inflation goes up, those will be the things that go up last or to the least extent. So you can always afford the basics. You, even if you're not living a luxurious life, you're not driving a Lamborghini, the basics. And I feel like they think of the people here. They actually care. Because I remember during that time, there was a few, the fuel prices? Fuel prices were so up.
When the Ukraine war had just started.
Now what they did here, because of the fuel crisis, they put a monthly train ticket that you could use to go anywhere in Germany. Imagine how huge Germany is, and it was only 10 euros a month.
No, that's unheard of over here.
Because of fuel. Now the ticket is 50, but still it's a huge place now, moving anywhere, any distance for a month.
No, that's now for comparison, let's say here in the UK, to move from London to Manchester, it's like maybe 4-hour journey, but that costs £200 for the last time I did it, and that was even before inflation, because that was,
I think the UK is expensive, because even still
expensive. That was for my
had to strike.
Yeah, that was 2019. I think Feb, I was going for a job interview, and it was £200, I think, per person.
That's why people specialize, because you can't do everything.
Country altogether, because you will get flights that are way cheaper to go to Europe.
Yes.
A travel within the UK is so expensive.
The UK is expensive. So it's like healthcare, basic needs, a government that cares about what people are going through, and safety. Yeah, free education. But even in the medical education, I feel like sometimes, how would I say that medical education here is? Sometimes I miss actual aspects of Ugandan education.
Like what?
Here, like we don't have lectures. We don't.
At all.
Depends. Okay, when I had a former boss at work, he had sort of organized it, and it was really nice. And we were the ones making presentations, but senior doctors would sit in and answer questions and stuff. But the hospital, it's like your education is really in your hands. You will get the basic life-saving things that you don't kill patients. And there is a lot of supervision. Maybe that's a good thing. There's a lot of supervision to help. But the real education of the facts and things, you have to take it into your own hands. You have to be very aggressive. There are a lot of associations for different specialties, and these associations, they offer CMEs, they offer, like for us, there's a monthly magazine we get every month. And in those magazines, they put different articles, research articles, what they think you need to know. But you can't, in the Ugandan system, I feel like you can be a bit passive and you learn. Other people are in charge of your education. They're the ones giving you the information, pointing you everywhere in the right direction, giving you tests and tests and tests. For us, you just, you do your practical 5 years. There's this huge logbook you have to fill with different things. And I assume if you do all the things, you'll have learned everything you need to know. Once it's full, you register for an exam. Once you pass the exam, you're done. Let's see.
No, I think it's similar here in that compared to Ugandan, like compared to made over here, it's more of a job. It's more on the job you're working, and we only have 1 day a week that we have teaching, and it's not even the whole day. It's just an afternoon where it's like what you described of you yourselves. You have a day on the timetable. You have to make a presentation, some case presentation, and then there are consultants. Yeah, otherwise you kind of have to be more aggressive.
So you really have to be someone who pushes yourself. You have to push yourself, you have to direct yourself. And now, like when you're juggling parenting and kids, you have to say, will I be listening to a podcast while I'm on the walk, while I'm washing dishes? Well, like you really have to push yourself. Now, like in theater, when you're there, a case is running and you're chilling, you have to pull out something and read. Do some test questions, things like that. And if you don't ask, you never know. There are very few senior doctors who have encountered who come and engage you in conversation, who will look at what you've done and say, why did you do this? Have you had this? No, it's you to dig out information. It's you to reach to a knowledge gap and then ask someone, I saw this, this, and this, but I don't understand this and this. What does this mean? Either they will tell you or they will point you in the direction of what you should read. But it's really on you. It's really on you. In Uganda, you get all the information. People just, they research for you. They make the slides. They bring it. Maybe you're good to go. But here, no one's going to do that. Oh, and another thing I miss about Uganda is family support.
Yes.
Especially when you have like children. I have like one aunt, two who are here, but they say like an hour and 10 minutes drive away, which in Germany is about 120 kilometers.
Yes.
So you just find yourself juggling everything. Of course, where I am, I think because I'm in a smaller town, you feel so black. Recently, we got a Ghanaian doctor at work in theater, and I was so excited. I wanted to talk to her, but I've not yet gotten around to doing it because she's not yet up. Somehow we are not in the same theaters. But I remember before her, there was only one other black doctor
in your hospital.
Was from Cameroon. And she had even done her medicine here. But she was quite friendly. But even I remember once you said the socialism, I saw another one. I'm like, no, I know we are only two. We are both chicks. If you want to fight for your rights, you fight there and then. That's how rare.
That's how rare you are.
That's how rare.
Especially.
It's rare that everyone passes. But the gentleman who failed, we could really all see he was failing.
I was telling you when I was talking to him in his hospital or wherever he works, that mostly they're like cleaners.
Exactly.
For us, it's mostly nurses, HCAs.
Cleaners, nurses, people who are in charge of like catering for patients. Actually, sometimes you meet a black person somewhere and you're like, hi, you meet them. Then they ask you, oh, which department are you working? Then you tell them, oh, I'm a doctor. Then you see this veil. It's like, but the surgeon, it was, if you kept on answering the questions wrong, he would distance himself from you. You could see he was becoming more and more distant. And if you started answering questions right, you'd see he's becoming warm. You're a doctor. Sometimes I even stopped. Someone was answering so many questions wrong until he said, it's enough, I can't take it anymore. Was like, I'm done. Nice, like any other place. But there are some people who actually will feel that he said, jetzt höre ich auf. He's like, I've stopped here. Now I'm stopping. But sometimes there was a certain breed of people that would treat you. It was really doable. What? But that's a rare experience. But when they meet you, there's always that shock that you're a doctor. Even if it's a positive shock, they get over it and they move on. But there's always that shock. They expect you to be something else.
Yes.
I don't know, but there's always that shock. And you see they treat you differently. Sometimes it's positive. Sometimes it's I haven't really experienced overt racism.
No, but that's enough. So you see, that's not overt racism, but it's racism because the reason they are shocked is because how dare you? How dare you defy the odds or be where you're not supposed to be? And experiencing that, because that's a microaggression. It's micro, but then continuously experiencing that. It's some kind of trauma. It's the same here as well. But then I think it's worse there because now for me, I'm not the only doctor.
You guys are not the only doctor for miles.
Yes. Yes. But then, like, let's say they'll do more. There are a lot of black people. So for me, where I work, we are too many. In fact, there are so many black people, black nurses, HCAs, and then doctors in my hospital that I last worked in. It was just me as the black doctor. But then we were about 3 trainees in the whole region that I'm aware of. But still, there's that shock that you will get.
But most of all, I think most of the I miss about Uganda is I miss community, I miss family support, I miss food. In wintertime, I miss the warmth and the darkness that it brings. I miss the sun. You wake up, you go to work, it's dark. The sun pops out for like 3 hours, 4 hours. You come back home, it's dark.
It's so depressing.
It's really depressing. It's really depressing. I remember at the time I was so sure I would just get up one day immediately after my training and go back to Uganda. But I think with all the shootings that have been going on, I've been reconsidering, not because of inflation, not because of traffic jam, but I'm like security, because I had a friend, a Ugandan, who said she would never go back to Uganda to live there. And I used to look at her like, why? That's such a absolute saying. Yeah. She said, Amanda, I never want to be in my house wondering is a thief entering. That was her thing. But I think right now in Uganda, I'm really just praying about the security. I think there is a lot of stress, a lot of stress that's going on, and people are snapping.
That's it.
People are shooting their employers, shooting their colleagues, shooting each other, shooting. It's like we're turning into a dismotivated, hardworking go-getter.
As well. It's like, I think it's a cost of living crisis is getting to people. It's getting too much, and it's like there's no way out, and people are getting.
What was it? He got a loan from someone. He couldn't pay back. He shot that person. This person who shot his employer, his wife was pregnant. He hadn't been paid for 4 months. You can really just see financial pressures.
You told us pros and cons.
I told you pros and cons. There's those microaggressions of racism. Be a foreign doctor in Germany. Sometimes they would make you repeat medical school. Community here, it can be really hard to make friends. It can be really hard to make friends if you're in a big city like Munich, Berlin, Cologne, where it's very multicultural. You'll find a lot of expats and people. You'll make friends. You'll find. But where I am at the moment, it's quite difficult because there are many people come to work and their work life doesn't mix with their outside life. They come, they see you at work, you talk. Once they're out, they're out. They don't see you anymore. You are part of their work life, you're not part of outside life. So making friends can be difficult unless you're in a big city. Yeah, and I think the major hurdle to overcome in coming this side is basically you're so like nervous, your nerves are so high, then suddenly language in Uganda. Don't make it like a thing of after the weekend, you're back at work like a normal person. Look for schools, contact them. That school I said, VIA Institute, they have a website. Contact them in advance because sometimes they're the people who make the visa process and everything easier for you. They'll say we have confirmed this person has a place, what? Yeah, learn the language. It's the main thing. The process is, of course, expensive. I think in the UK, there's still things are pricey, but I think here it's cheaper than there. And it's somehow more straightforward, I think. I don't know, you only have PLAB 1 and PLAB 2, then you're done.
Yeah, English.
Okay, so it's the same.
No, it's not.
You don't have a medical thing.
We have more exams. We have 2 medical exams. That's PLAB 1 and 2. But then for you have only 2.
Yes.
All right, it's the same.
You said you had to do an English exam first?
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. So language exam and medical knowledge exam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's 3. For us, it's 3 exams. Anyway, it's the same as you, because now you've done the B1. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think I feel like our exams are not that difficult. Me, when I look in comparison, we have no objective paper.
That's a problem.
Me, I like that. Objective questions are hard. And when they are tight, sometimes it's like I'm still coming from the Ugandan mentality. I'm not yet become enough Germanized to be like, no, this man is not enough for me. Look at inflation. You have no time to say I'm going to number 5, then I will come back to number 1. But
yeah, no, you're right.
You can still you can think out loud and come to an answer somehow if you practice hard enough. I think if you have a good command of the language, I really think German is the easiest place to get into. The easiest place to get into medicine.
Do you have other Ugandan doctors you're aware of that are there? Do you have some association or anything?
I only know those 2 doctors who I've never met, Sissy. I don't know anyone else. I know as Cameroonian.
Now I'm complaining. It's not enough. Pay us.
I don't know where they are.
I think they're going to appear after this video. Let's
I
wait.
really hope so.
Ugandans
out there in the YouTube.
Let us know in the comments.
Let us collect. Let us connect. Yeah, I would really be looking forward to meeting others. I don't even know nurses.
By the way, actually, let us know in the comments below if you're in Germany at all, whether you're a nurse, whatever you're doing. We would love to hear from you. I think
the populations are Cameroon and Nigeria. Those are the dominant populations that I have encountered. But all others, even a Kenyan, I've not met. Even a Tanzanian, I've not met. But I could be in my own bubble. And actually, even in that course I did, that course has been in existence since 1995. I'm the first Ugandan to do that course. But Ugandans don't want to hustle. I'm telling you, learning a language, to tell someone to invest time in learning a language for some time, then come here to do other exams. Sometimes I think people want faster things.
No, I think they will do it now. They should consider it, considering the situation that Uganda is in. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't look good.
And the jobs are there. Like if you come, you'll get a job here. The population is very old. There are very many sick people. Yes. The population where we are is really that demographic, unlike in Uganda, where maybe 50% are below 18. Maybe my statistics are wrong. Here, I think it's like more than 60% is above 50. So you find there is a lot of patient burden on the system, and the doctors are actually few. Like in the hospitals where I am, there are very many foreign doctors. They're just not Ugandans and not Africans. The Africans I meet are like from Morocco, Egypt, the ones I meet. But like Africans from below the Arab Africa, they are very few.
So do you think you're going to stay there forever and ever then, or out? But would you consider moving somewhere else, like to the UK, for instance? Because my consultant, I texted you, my consultant is German. Not my current consultant, but my previous one was German. And she said, for her anyway, she was saying she would wish she would go back. But then her kids had been grown up here and all that.
I think the thing that I like about Germany in comparison to the UK is the weather.
You have better weather there?
I believe our weather is not as gloomy and wet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Is the weather, the organization of the system, and these people, they value holiday. They are a work hard, play hard society. When they are at work, they are working. But when it comes to things like holiday and whatnot, they are off. They are turned off. But I think I really like Germany. I like Germany's organized. I like the government. I feel like the government cares for the people. Of course, there's corruption in there somewhere, but at least they kuswala ko. They don't try to rub it in your face. And of course, I think maybe now I'm used to speaking German, but before that was a con for me. I'd be like, it'd be easier to be in an English-speaking place. It would be just chill. I think if I was to consider living German, maybe I would consider going to Canada or going home.
What about Switzerland?
I think those are the... Switzerland is very similar to Germany.
So here they speak German too.
They speak German, they speak French. I think they have a German dialect, which is slightly different, but if you can speak German here, you can get around there. You can get around there. They pay very well. I think that's the only advantage I would say. They pay very well, but their cost of living is equally very high. And the fact that Germany is such a big country, you can move all over. You can decide, I'm tired of this place, I'm going somewhere else. But I think my only options, if I was to really think about it, of course, I'm saying this, I haven't asked my husband, you can have your dreams and other people have other, but you have to sit together and plan. But I really think it's if it's not Germany, maybe it's Canada. Because Canada and the US, the pay is much better than in Europe. That's the truth. Canada and the US, they pay much better, but the US has a lot of litigation, a lot of political correctness, racism here and there, Black Lives Matter, and I don't know if I want to be in that environment. I feel like there's a lot of confusion over there. They have mass shootings like every day.
Same, that's the reason I wouldn't want to go to the US as well.
Yeah, I'm telling you, in Africa, it takes a village to raise a child. In Europe, the village is you.
But then also, these days I'm hearing from people in Uganda that those things are no longer there. I was like, how are you traveling with childcare in Uganda? They just said, hey, what am I going to do? Like, I need someone to look after the kid, yet you need to work. Then she was like,
young sisters still feel like they're still in the prime of their life. They're still doing stuff. They have programs.
That's the problem. So they can't be there doing childcare for you permanently. My dad doesn't even live in Uganda. My mom is ever in the village. They have projects, so she's doing the farm or what, you see. And then her in-laws, same story. Like, people have things that I think they're not old enough to just be there waiting for kids constantly. They also have their lives. So I think it's not that bad for us out here. Even people there are struggling with childcare. Linda started a nursery, a daycare, because childcare.
Wow.
Problem. Yeah, she decided let her start her own.
Very innovative of her. She saw a need.
Yes, so because even in Uganda, people are wary of maids now.
Yeah,
that's the biggest child care.
Security cameras in their homes because
the biggest child care people have is security, is maids. So if I was in Uganda, I would probably have a maid, and I think I would rather be here and struggle with my kids by myself.
Another pro I have about Germany, which I think is for a lot of Europe, maybe I don't know about the UK, but we ride bicycles. This is one of the very nice things about Germany.
You ride a bicycle?
People ride bicycles. I don't have one yet. But when she's old enough to properly sit in one, they have bicycles and they move with their kids in them. And I see families cycling. There's a real cycling culture here. You can always find parking for bicycles everywhere. There are bicycle lanes on the streets. People just go cycling through the country. They have a very outdoorsy nature. They like bike riding. They like hiking. They like walking. You know, someone tells you, oh, let's just go for a short walk here. It's going to be a walk. Yeah. So there is a way they have a certain way they maintain health culturally. Whereas you might find in the US there's an obesity epidemic. Of course, even here it's coming, but here people are generally fit. You see when an old lady, she's on her bicycle with her small handbag, looking very okay. Moving, and now they even have electric bikes. Like for judges, maybe they can't go uphill, they can just put in a motor and then they can ride. I just want to get into that bicycle culture. At least I know how to ride a bicycle. But now I want to get into that bicycle culture. It's really nice. And children are so encouraged to be outdoors, doing things. They always have good programs for kids. A program at the museum, a program at the zoo, a program here and there. Like to try and move away from like too much technology and too much TV time. They always have, you see even when they have like nursery schools, you find that children are out taking a walk in nature, they are walking in a line, they are showing them ducks, they're doing all sorts of things. I find that nice. Because in Uganda, you don't have so many places to walk, to enjoy a nice walk in the city. You have a border harassing you here, dust, someone is selling tomatoes there, someone drives by you, splashes on you water. There's so much frustration. By the time you get home, you're really not relaxed on that walk. But here you can walk. Everywhere is peaceful, almost. Even in big cities, there's like a designated, you can walk without fear. Walking, bicycles, even in a huge city like Munich, they have like this huge central park with trees and stuff. You can't even go there and you forget you're in the city. So here we have well-planned cities with walking, with parks, and with playgrounds.
Yes. I think they actually consider children more in these other countries because there's things for kids, like you've said. There's a lot of also the parks and playgrounds everywhere. Like in my little neighborhood, we have 3 playgrounds. You can go playground hopping, and I think the cycling is more over there. It's not as much here because even I remember my consultant was also, she used to cycle to work.
But even in the Netherlands they cycle. I feel like in other places they cycle a lot, but in the UK, not so much. So that planning, I really like that planning that they have here, the way they plan their cities. Even in the playground I go to, there are table tennis things for parents. There are benches around for parents to sit. There are some big slides where you can go with your kids. There's a swing, there's a baby swing, and next to the baby swing, there's a swing where anyone can swing, even a big person. So you can swing with your child at the same time. And I feel like people need to play too, even when we are old. So some places you might go, you find a big chessboard. People, it's like permanent, it's there. People go, they play. As I said, work hard, play hard. They try to make that kind of relaxing environment.
I should move to Germany now, except the language.
Where I live, Sissy, I'm within walking distance of everything. I walk to my workplace. That's just God's blessing. I walk to my workplace in like 10 minutes. I'm there, relaxed walking. I walk to my workplace. If I need to go to the pediatrician, I walk to the pediatrician. If I need to go to the supermarket, I walk to the supermarket. If I need to go to the train station, I walk to the train station. It's 15 minutes walk. If I need to go to town, I walk to town. If I need to walk to the 2 playgrounds nearby, I walk. Like,
I love it. A healthier lifestyle for everyone.
Yeah, fresh air. Even if it's winter, people here, they walk. They dress up and they go out for at least 30 minutes. And of course, people here are also dog lovers. Dogs are like human beings. So the dog has to go out. So you find every day you're getting out. And that's something I really like. Ugandans in the Germany, please write in the comments. Let us know yourselves. Let us know who you are. See how I even forgotten English now. Because I don't trust my English anymore, by the way.
And also, if you're not in Germany but you're considering it, what would stop you from going there? And have you considered it before? And thanks a lot for coming, Amanda. Amanda is a great video watcher as well, because at least you watch a video, you comment down below. Other people watch, they come and send you private DMs. I'm like, when
No, what if we want to contribute as other commenters? What if we have the answer you're looking for?
Exactly. So yeah, thank you for coming. And if you're a video watcher as well, comment below. Maybe you can come onto the channel, come and tell us also what's going on in your life. Eh? I love hearing other post stories and hearing what's going on.
Yeah, by the way, and I won't tell people to contact me privately, but if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll reply.
Yes.
Ask it in the comments and I'll reply.
Yes, if you have a question for Amanda. So thank you so much for coming. Make sure you like this video if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, bye guys.